The Journal of Sergeant Patrick Gass was the first book published about the Lewis and Clark expedition. The story it contains is told here by Patrick Gass's great-grandson, Clifford Painter.
In 1803, my great-grandfather Patrick Gass was 32 years old and a United States infantryman. That year, officers Meriwether Lewis and William Clark were recruiting members for their expedition west. Their mission was to explore newly acquired U.S. territory and find a northwest passage to the Pacific. My great-grandfather Patrick volunteered. This is his journal of that expedition, which he titled The Voyages and Travels of a Corps of Discovery. I have a photograph of a painting of him that was made when he was about 90. I look at the picture and try to imagine why my great-grandfather risked his life to go on this adventure. Family history tells us that he was raised always moving to the frontier. Heading west seemed to be his destiny.
On Monday, the 14th of May, 1804, we left our establishment at the mouth of the Wood River and proceeded up the Missouri on our voyage of discovery. The Corps consisted of 43 men, part of the regular troops of the United States, and part engaged for this particular enterprise. The expedition was embarked on board a bateau and 2 periogues. The day was showery, and in the evening, we encamped near a small stream.
Lewis and Clark had picked the most seasoned soldiers and frontiersmen they could find, each with a specialty, such as hunting or blacksmithing. My great-grandfather was a carpenter.
We set out early and proceeded until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when we met 5 periogues loaded with fur and peltry from the Sioux nation of Indians. We got from them an old Frenchman who could speak the languages of the different nations of Indians and who agreed to go with us as an interpreter. It rained this morning, but we had a fine breeze of wind. At 9, we came to the great River Platte, which at the mouth is 3/4 of a mile broad. Up this river live 3 nations of Indians, the Oto, Pawnees, and Loose or Wolf Indians.
As they came upon each new tribal encampment, the captains conducted a ceremony and exchanged gifts.
Captain Lewis and Captain Clark held a council with the Indians, who appeared well pleased with the change of government from France to the United States and what had been done for them.
3 months upriver, Sergeant Charles Floyd died of an unknown illness, and they buried him on a bluff overlooking the river.
We interred his remains in the most decent manner our circumstances would admit. We then proceeded to a small river and encamped. Our commanding officers gave it the name of Floyd's River, to perpetuate the name of the first man who had fallen in this important expedition.
With the onset of cold weather, the Corps chose a wintering site near present-day Bismarck, North Dakota. The men built a fort a short distance from the villages of the Mandan Indian. Patrick Gass, my great-grandfather, oversaw its construction.
Thursday the 6th was so cold and stormy we could do nothing. In the night, the river froze over, and in the morning, it was covered with solid ice 1.5 inches thick. In our hunt of yesterday, 2 men had their feet frostbitten. Captain Clark and another party went out, though the cold was extreme, to hunt the buffalo, and killed 9 and a deer. 1 man got his hand frozen, another his foot. On the 12th, we arrived back at the fort and found that one of our interpreter's wives had in our absence made an addition to our number.
That addition, Jean-Baptiste, was the newborn son of Toussaint Charbonneau, French trapper and interpreter. Jean-Baptiste's mother, Sacagawea, was a young Shoshone who had been captured by another tribe and then later won in a bet by Charbonneau. On April 7th, 1805, the men left Fort Mandan and continued on their mission. Soon, they got their first glimpse of the Rocky Mountains, and soon after that, the Great Falls of the Missouri. But the joy of this sight turned to misery. The explorers faced an 18-mile portage uphill through dense cactus that ripped their moccasins.
Captain Clark, the interpreter, and his wife and child had gone to see the spring at the falls, and when the storm began, they took shelter under a bank at the mouth of a run. But in 5 minutes there was 7 feet of water in the run, and they were very near being swept away. They lost a gun, an umbrella, and a surveyor's compass, and barely escaped with their lives.
Pressing ever upstream, the men struggled, hauling the boats across jagged rocks, chest deep in snow water. The party near exhaustion, Sacagawea assured the captains that she knew this country and that they were not far from the home of her people, the Shoshone. With her guidance, the Corps headed north on a branch of the Missouri until the river was just a trickle. My great-grandfather didn't describe the moment, but the voyagers must have felt disappointment as well as triumph. They had found the headwaters of the Great Missouri, but they had failed to find a northwest passage. After hiding their canoes for later use, they struggled to Lemhi Pass. Here they found a spring that flowed west. They had reached the Continental Divide. The next day, the expedition members were met by a Shoshone war party. 60 mounted warriors raced toward them. Tense negotiations began. Then, as luck would have it, Sacagawea recognized the chief, Kameawait, her brother. They bartered with the Shoshone for horses and set out again. Now, they were racing winter. As the Corps climbed into the Bitterroots, it began to snow. There was no game to hunt. The men were forced to eat some of their horses. For almost 4 weeks, they wandered lost.
We pursued our journey up the creek, fatiguing almost beyond description. Having gone 9 miles, we halted for dinner, which was composed of a small portion of flour we had along and the last of our pork, which was but a trifle. Our hunters had not killed anything. To add to our misfortunes, we had a cold evening with rain. We made 17 miles this day and encamped on a small branch of the creek. Having heard nothing from our hunters, we again supped upon some of our portable soup. The men are becoming lean and debilitated.
Nearing starvation, the group crested a peak and saw a low plain to the southwest. They were through the mountains. That night, they dined on tallow candles. The next day, they stumbled into a Nez Perce encampment, where they received food. After regaining their strength, they moved to the Clearwater River and fashioned canoes from ponderosa pines. Now, moving with the current, they made their way to the Snake River and then on to the Columbia.
We passed some bad rapids. In the evening, we stopped at some Indian camps and remained all night, having come 30 miles. Here we got more fish and dogs. Most of our people prefer dog meat, which, when well cooked, tastes very well.
As they neared the mouth of the Columbia, they encountered coastal tribesmen in canoes. And on December 7th, 1805, they reached the Pacific. They passed the winter in a fort they built near the mouth of the river, making salt, trading the local tribes, and updating their journals. In March 1806, they set out on their return. The trek home required only a third of the time consumed in traveling west, for now they had landmarks.
Saw several turkeys on shore, but did not dally a moment to hunt, being so anxious to reach St. Louis, where we arrived on the 23rd and were received with great kindness and marks of friendship by the inhabitants, after an absence of 2 years, 4 months, and 10 days.
Soon after his return, Patrick traveled on to Pittsburgh, where a bookbinder published his journal. My great-grandfather shared his adventure with the world. I hold this story in my hands and cannot even imagine what it must have felt like to stand on the Pacific coast, knowing I had just finished the journey of a lifetime.